Yes, sir.
Okay. So hello everyone. Welcome to another video of Nu-Trix the Synth Guy. Today we have special guest. I think it's because it's my birthday. It was yesterday, and you guys are just giving me a gift today by doing this interview, and we'll be able to talk about Roland stuff. A lot of things we'll be talking about. We have Dustin and we have Brandon. Dustin, you're in Toronto.
That's
And
right.
where are you, Brandon, located?
I am in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Okay.
Yeah.
Today's topics, because there's more than one, for what I understand, the topics all glued together some way. Zenology that you came out not a long time ago, a couple of months ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
This ties up with the Roland Cloud. Then there's Zen Beats. Well, at least the beginning of the name is the same, Zen. So there's must be a link somewhere. I know there's Zencore that we hear about, and that's kind of linked somewhere to plug out, if I get it correctly. And then there's the final question we'll finish with will be basically on what MIDI 2.0 can we expect out of it, Now, you have Zencore. Can you quickly explain what it is for people who don't know what Zencore is?
Yeah. So Zencore is the sort of umbrella technology for our new latest synth engine, and what it does is essentially brings forward kind of everything we've done before. So if we're looking at our vintage VCOs and DCOs and filters and things, so those are modeled via ABM, and then it also incorporates the PCM technology, like from the XVs and the JVs and those things. But that's also been updated to do things like cross modulation of PCM oscillators and also to do PCM sync. So it's kind of been brought up as well. So it's kind of a merging of all of these technologies, the analog part obviously modeled over the last nearly 50 years. So, and then what that does, that engine can reside in software on a native machine, or it can reside in hardware. So it's scalable and it's transferable between software and hardware. So that's the main engine. Well, what underneath that are various technologies. So like I said, PCM modeling. There's also things like on specific instruments, things like Supernatural have been incorporated into the Zencore engine, like on the Phantom. But just speaking of like Zenology, it's able to run also wave expansions, which are essentially almost like PCM expansion cards, like SRX boards and those kinds of things. But now those are part of the Zencore engine. So the Zencore engine has kind of just started incorporating all of the sound technologies we have under one umbrella so that it's transportable and scalable.
So it means that today, let's say we talk about Zenology, what you offer with that, you can have on hardware, you can have on a computer, a Mac, a PC. You could have it on something else.
Yeah, I mean, right now Zenology, essentially to a degree, being the Zencore engine virtualized as a plugin, is in a Phantom. It's a single tone of a Phantom. So, or a Jupiter X, a single, as Dustin was saying, like 5 layers in a Jupiter X. One of those layers is essentially Zenology or a model expansion running in hardware. So Zenology is really a manifestation of the Zencore engine in a plugin for Mac or PC. And right now it's in a more of a player mode, so it's able to send sounds back and forth, like to a Phantom, for instance. You can play those sounds, and then in the fall we'll have the fully editable version. So you'll have a fully editable Zencore engine with all of the parameters. And then you can, and so you're designing essentially single tone Zencore sounds.
Okay. So one question that will probably pop up at one point is people saying, on the older device that you have, any of them will be supporting with a firmware update Zencore, or is it only new devices that will support it?
Yeah, so mostly only new devices, although we've announced that the AX Edge, which actually was, in a way, a lot of people don't realize, is one of the first Zencore synthesizers. We just didn't call it that at that point. People who dug in realized, wow, this is a really deep synth engine. Interesting. So it actually it's going to get a firmware update soon that's going to retroactively make it a Zencore compatible synthesizer. So all the sound packs and things will be able to go in there. Older synthesizers like a System 8, probably not. That does the plug out thing, and that's its bag. The RD88 is currently supported. The Phantoms are supported, Jupiters are supported, AX Edge, as I mentioned. MC just got an update. MC 101, MC 707, like yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just got an update, which
also
made them Zencore compatible. Yeah. So now you can, get sounds from, sound packs, export them into the 707 or 101. And then, when Zenology Pro comes out, that's going to enable people to essentially have a software editor for these sounds. They can deeply design sounds and then shovel them over to their MC 101 or 707.
To have access to these sound, do you need to have a Roland Cloud account?
You have to have an account, not a membership necessarily.
Okay.
So sign up for a Roland account, which is just like any Apple ID or Samsung account or what have you. Sign up for that, then you can purchase the sound pack. So everything's a la carte. You can buy it. You don't have to have a membership, a monthly membership, or anything like that. That only comes if you see the value proposition of wanting a lot of stuff, particularly for Zenology. So there are membership options where you'll get all the sound packs, let's say, for Zenology. Okay. But for hardware, if you can go and just make your Roland account, and you can go into Roland Cloud Manager, no membership, and just say I want that sound pack, I want some new Flux sounds or something, and just go get them.
And there's with just a Roland account, you get what we call Zenology Lite, which is a collection of kind of like a nice solid collection of sounds, and I think a drum kit as well in there. Yeah,
there are many drum kits actually. I think there's 7 or 8.
Yeah, there you go. So you get a bunch of patches, and it's the same interface as the basic Zenology plugin, just less patches come with it. But then Zenology itself, in its current form, that's included in what we call like a core membership, which that only costs $3 a month, and that's when you get that whole like all the currently available patches for Zenology. But it's not until the next level that you get Zenology Pro, which opens up. The engine is insanely deep if you want to get deep with it, and it's really exciting what Brandon mentioned about the potential for people who own this hardware to have Zenology Pro as an editor and as a patch creator for something as small as an MC 101, just to be able to make as much patches as you want with the full capabilities of the engine, toss them in, throw it in your backpack or a pocket if you got a big pocket, and there you go.
Well, and also for somebody like using an MC 101, they may or may not be really into sound design, and but they need fresh sounds. They want it for certain genres or styles. They can do that. And it's funny because you mentioned the $2.99 membership. So there's a membership which is Core, right?
That's Core.
$2.99 a month US, or it is $36 a year. I think is that the yearly?
I feel like it's $29 or $29 a year.
I think it's 29. Yeah, $30 a year.
Steps down. Yeah,
$29 a year. So, but I added up what you actually get with that, because Zenology has comes with I don't know it's like 3,000 sounds, 3,000 something sounds, and somewhat number of drum kits. But when you install it at that level at $3 a month, you also get all of the wave expansions, all the sound packs that are currently available. So I installed everything the other day and kind of counted up, and I came up with, it was like 6,100 and some sounds and nearly 200 drum kits at this time. And then every month there's more stuff.
Just to be clear, you're getting banks of sounds and sounds and sounds, but basically you're getting different synthesizers and drum machines also. You can create your own sounds. It's not just, a player.
It's complicated. So right now at the Zenology level, with the Zenology that exists now, you can adjust, filter and some envelope parameters and things like that.
Okay.
You are getting many sounds. A lot of these will mimic, there's 808 kits in there and 707, and there's all, Jupiter strings and all that kind of stuff. These are not model expansions, which is something we can talk about later, which are coming soon, which actually turns Zenology into a new synthesizer with a different UI and everything. But the Zenology, and you have access to buy those, but the Zenology that we're talking about at that core membership is all those sounds are with Zenology. But you do get D50 sounds and those kinds of things. It just doesn't turn it into that instrument per se, but it has those sounds.
Yeah, and I do see that sentiment being, communicated online. People saying, "Oh, it sounds like," and it almost people think it's like samples. No, it's using the real. It's the stuff. It's the real stuff. It's all Zencore. And as we'll show, like in the UI, you do have cutoff, attack, release, vibrato. You have these kind of top level programming settings, even with the like just basic Zenology plugin, without the Pro one.
Do you have any examples you can show us?
Yeah, absolutely. I can show you exactly what the UI looks like for Zenology in its current form. Yeah, so let's take a quick look here. Yeah, so you've got, cutoff, resonance, attack, release, vibrato, and, if you take a listen, attack and release will be affecting different parameters, not just, your VCA attack, but it'll help you put a swell on your filter envelope as well, right? So it's really top level, upper kind of control. And then you have things like, mono, unison, and then legato and cortamento, right? And so you can tweak patches, but you're not getting down to that core level of sound design.
So now it's like buying the DSP in a way, the algorithm, the quality of the model, and banks of presets. That's what you get.
That's right, with some tone shaping, kind of macro level tone shaping capabilities. Yeah. That's right.
Absolutely. And one thing that I find, so exciting about this, because this is in just the basic version of Zenology, is the MFX section. Like I've being as much on the inside as I am, like I just couldn't wait to tell people about the MFX when we first got this engine to try out. Like I was just like, this is crazy, So you can go in, and if you can see here, there's, I believe, 90 effects. So on top of being able to just control, cutoff, resonance, and those upper level parameters, you can really dig in and get weird and do some really awesome sound design, even with the basic Zenology plugin, with these MFX as well. And they all sound excellent. And a lot of them are, modeled. If you look at the chorus, and look at the Juno chorus, you got the different settings for Juno. You've also got JX8P choruses in there. So that's all just with the basic version as well.
I would call it like shaping, and you can do sort of effects design. And that's part of the Zencore engine too, is like these effects are inherent in it. So Juno 106 models, SBF 320, all these, flangers and choruses and things, delays, are all modeled and all part of the Zencore engine. So they're like baked in.
And I got to say that the modeling is really, really great. Like the SBF you mentioned, like the flanger chorus, it's really awesome. Like some of my buddies, just a quick little story here. They own all the classics. They've got a synth studio, all the JPs, JP4, JP8, everything, and they're brothers. And one of them was in the other room, and the other was playing with the Phantom and had the SBF flanger chorus on. And the brother actually just went like, "Is that an SBF you have?" From the other room, right? Yeah. So it's like really, really great. And honestly, the parameters that are there for a lot of users, and I mean, even more experienced sound designers, like it's a massive difference changing a plucky patch, the really kind of quick attack and decay, to a swelling pad. You can do that with those very basic settings, right? And it's quite dramatic.
But you were talking about there was another version, the Pro version coming out. Yeah. September, is that the number? Time?
Around the fall, autumn.
So what would be the difference? It would be like now you would have a synth or a drum machine instead of
well, you'd have a full blown UI with controls for everything. So
those like me who says I want to play the knobs, I want to have a Jupiter 8. That would be
now if you want a Jupiter 8, the best way to get that would be with a Jupiter 8 model expansion, which basically here's a Jupiter 8, and that would give you Jupiter 8 original patches. That would give you all the Jupiter 8 behavior on all the knobs and everything. Where the Zenology Pro would be is if like, you said, well, I want a Jupiter 8 stacked on some type of a PCM synthesizer with a completely different effect or different filter. You essentially have a 4 partial engine. So each partial kind of like an oscillator or a full synth voice. But each of those could be PCM, could be a virtual analog oscillator. You can mix those. You can then pick a filter type. That could be a modeled filter or an older type of filter design. And then you have modulation capabilities, and so it's you have actually the LFO section is crazy. So you have 2 LFOs per partial. So you can end up with 8 LFOs, and every LFO has 16 steps, tempo syncing steps, and each one of those has 36 or 37 curve types, and they can modulate things. So it's, the modulation capabilities, the LFO capabilities are insane.
So this is already available.
Well, this is what's in a Phantom, and this is what's in a Jupiter if you're using a Zencore single tone. So on the Phantom synthesizer, when you look at a single channel, you have all those capabilities. So those capabilities then will be in the Zenology software. So you'll have the same ability just in a plugin.
Yeah, and to put it in more of a kind of like, I'm looking at a classic subtractive synth kind of perspective, you can, this kind of four partial, like Brandon was saying, four partials per tone. So each sound you're creating has up to four partials. Something like the MC707 or the Phantom, and moving forward, Zenology Pro, like you can attack that and use it as like a 4 oscillator synth. But when you dig a little bit deeper, like say right now on Phantom and MC707, each of those can be a completely separate synthesizer from A to Z. Completely different envelopes, completely different LFO shapes and routings, completely different modulation matrices. And that's on one tone, right? So it really is truly 4 synthesizers per tone. But, on the Phantom, you just click the right buttons, or the MC707, and you can be having essentially 4 oscillators with the same filter behavior, So if you want to open that up, Zenology Pro is going to be all of that in a really nice UI with controls over every single thing on every partial.
Okay.
And in between that, do we want to talk about model expansions a little bit?
Absolutely, because I think Luke was bringing up, like, how does it relate to, say, I want a Jupiter 8? That's where
Yeah. So you could, with Zenology Pro, you could design like kind of super Jupiter 8, or I guess there was a super Jupiter, but your ultimate Jupiter that maybe had some other, or a hybrid synthesizer, like a Jupiter digital hybrid or something with Zenology Pro. The model expansions basically are somewhere kind of in the middle, and they allow you to take Zenology and sort of morph it into a specific synthesizer, like an SH-101 or JX8P. This technology currently manifests itself in the Jupiter X and the Jupiter XM. So the Jupiter X, which I have one sitting right here, is basically has the Zencore engine inside of it. You can use can create those Zencore kind of bass sounds, but also it has models in it. So you can push a button and it becomes a JX8P or an SH-101 or a Juno 106 or a Jupiter 8 or an RD, right? Or XP5080, I think, is also in there. So what you'll be able to do in Zenology is essentially do a similar type of thing. So you'll be able to take, I want Zenology to basically now be an SH-101, and it will have the image, the kind of look of an SH-101, and it will have the behavior of an SH-101, the original patches of that. When you move knobs and everything, they'll all behave like an SH-101. But actually, in these cases, you'll have more polyphony, though. You'll have polyphony choices. So if you want to have a 16-voice SH-101, you can have that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, totally. And where it kind of the ABM moves not away, but is a bit different from Zencore, is that behavior modeling. So the ranges on the knobs, the way the envelopes interact, the actual filters are going to be modeled differently, and the oscillators as well, the waveforms, right? Mm-hmm. So you can kind of see Zenology as all these options for creating any kind of like all these years of synthesizer technology mixed in any way you want. But when you want that experience and you want, okay, like for example, I know on an SH-101, it has a different kind of envelope depth for the filter. It just feels different. It doesn't go as deep as, say, a Juno. You're going to get that same behavior out of these ABM plugins. And actually, I have them open right now. If you want to take a look at, say, the JX8P, for example.
It might be, just real quick, Dustin, it might be just beneficial to let people know, like, okay, how do you get these? So if you're using Zenology and you're in that core membership, just quickly before we look at them, you can purchase these like a la carte. We call it a lifetime key, so you can just buy one and it runs in Zenology.
So then you don't have to rent and pay monthly; you just buy in once.
No, that's right. Yeah, for those model expansions. Yeah. The other thing though is that at a certain level, I think at Pro, I don't know if all details are worked out, but at Pro you'll get these as part of your membership.
Okay.
So people may find that for $10 a month or something like that, now they're getting all the sound packs, the wave expansions. Now you're getting model expansions as well. So you can decide whether you just want one, just like you can with the ACB synthesizers now too. If you just want an SH-101, you can just get that and not pay monthly, or you can have everything or subsidy. Anyway, Dustin.
Well, yeah, let's take a quick look at the JX. I think that's what I got open here. Yeah, so if you take a look, this we looked at Zenology, so you'll see that this kind of looks familiar, right? This is just where we manage our patches. Mm-hmm. But as soon as you select the JX8P ABM, the model, you get this UI, right? So you'll get the same kind of settings that you would have on a JX, and also you get really nice, smooth UI for envelopes and stuff like that, which you of course didn't have on the original hardware, right? So you get that kind of real experience. And yeah, this is the kind of thing I was talking about, like when we talk about envelope depths and, how deep does this go to the filter? That's all in that behavior model. But you'll notice that we also have all the MFX, because again, I mean, I'm a big fan of these, obviously. We want it to still be flexible. We don't want it to be limited to being just a JX8P period. So we have a few extra options. Another one of those being these filter options. You can choose, the JX filter, the Roland filter, or you can choose some other modeled filters as well, right? So we just wanted to get it a little bit closer to, that, or it is really the same part of that Zen Core experience, but it just kind of focuses in and is much more like a JX8P. But yeah, you got way more polyphony and much less CPU load.
Yeah.
And you still have the graphic of the internal structure at the top, which is always This is
love that,
because if you don't know how the JX was structured inside it, the diagram, you see here how it works. So it's easy to just remember or learn, depending on if you knew about it.
Yeah, the idea with these is
I always appreciated that on the D50, because D50 programming a D50 wasn't always the most clear, a lot of buttons, and that being on the front panel, I always really appreciated that.
Yeah, and one of the ideas with these is to let people who are new to these instruments be able to approach them and use them and get sound out of them, but see the structure. You also notice there's a condition slider up there, will actually let you. All of these have that capabilities to to age them.
Yeah,
and it will, and their components will act accordingly as about to sort of how old or how old they are, essentially what kind of condition they're in. So there's that. But yeah, and and in some touch environments and things, this is an easier interface for those types of environments as well. It scales to as all the plugins now do to 4K resolutions and stuff, so it scales nice and crisp. So yeah, it's really taken that experience, but offering it in a little bit different, experience.
Totally, and the condition and pitch drift, it's quite interesting. They're not just a randomization. So it's not like, it'll just, the filter will be a little different on this one note. It's kind of building an instrument, so it's allocating a bit of a different condition to the different voices as like an analog synth would age naturally. That's what it's doing. So it's kind of creating an actual, JX that's older. It's not just every note is a little different.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So this run on your computer. This also can be used inside the Phantom, for example, right now?
Well, not yet. It can be used in so Jupiter X and Jupiter XM are the two right now that support model expansions. They're already built in. There will be compatibility between those two. There's an aspect of this of which we call sort of internally as instrument specific expansions. So Zenology, while we're looking for parity eventually, because it's a very complex ecosystem, Zenology will do a lot of the stuff first. So it can handle core Zencore sounds, it can handle wave expansions, it can handle these model expansions. There are things in different instruments that are specific to them. So like the Phantom has a V piano, which Zenology does not support, at least at this time either. And then the Phantom doesn't support model expansions at this time. And some instruments support wave expansions, some don't. So the capabilities of the hardware a little bit different, and we're going to try to bring more and more parity. Generally, the higher end the instrument is, the more of these instrument-specific expansions it's going to have. But the goal is to really have Zenology kind of be the master of all things, and have all of those engines essentially run inside of it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
It was really fun to have you an interview and talk about all these new things coming out, and have a better explanation for me, because I didn't really get all the differences between everything that is existing in, I would say, the Zen universe of Roland today. So it's pretty awesome, I mean, to see that. And I will dig more into Zenology myself to test it out, hear it, play with it. And I'll if I have any comments, I'll send it by your way.
Yeah, please do. It was a blast for me to talk to you guys, and I hope we can do this again and maybe catch up on some new stuff once some new things have been released, and we can.
That's well. Next time you've got something new coming out, we can do this, and you can explain explain where it fits into the big picture and the target audience, and what's behind it and all that stuff. And we'll be happy to do another video about it then.
No, this was great. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to tell everybody, give everybody a little bit of behind the scenes and philosophy and what we're doing, and answer some questions. So, yeah, look forward to next time.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, and to everybody who's watching, well, thank you. And if you like this type of content, write it in the comments. If you have any question, put them there, and if we have enough questions, we might ask these guys back just to answer these questions. So that's it. See you soon. Bye, everybody.